Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmag here and welcome back to another video. Today we're covering off the Underrot in the Mythic Plus Advanced tips for blood DKs. So these videos just coming out in the hopes of helping you complete your Keystone Master towards the end of BFA, or just push that little bit of extra IO with some things that you maybe didn't know in the dungeons. So this information today has been brought to you by myself, Vera, Mandel, Floor Fruits, and Senen. Can't say the name, so I'm just going to make something up each video now. So starting off, guys, I'm going to just cover the trash. I'm going to work through this dungeon fairly sequentially from the start, the trash, the first boss, trash, second boss, and so on. There's a fair bit to cover in Underrot, but I'll try and get through this as quickly as I can. So starting off, guys, with the trash here, as you come out of the shield, there's going to be a matron and a fetid maggot. Now, generally the play is to CC the maggot and take the matron into the top pack of priests. The matron is the big dangerous mob in this one, as they do a charge and a savage cleave. Now what you can do as a DK is you can actually death grip the matron mid-charge, and what that'll do is it'll actually avoid the charge damage, and it'll also cancel the savage cleave. However, it's extremely hard to do, and you've kind of got to be crap and lightning to catch the charge like that. Generally what's going to happen is the charge will go off, the damage will get dealt from that charge, it'll start casting the savage cleave, and you can death grip it off that savage cleave cast, which is still invaluable. It still means that someone is not potentially going to get hit by the cleave, get the bleed on them, and then die. So we can pretty much death grip every single savage cleave when it goes to go off. The priests will be casting bolts and that deathly reconstitution. You can single grip those casts off as well. However, it will trigger an immediate recast, but it can buy you some time if you need. Moving on to the maggot will cast a rotten bile. Now when it goes to cast the rotten bile, you need to actually death grip it before that cast completes. So it's not like on other mobs where you need to let the cast finish and the channel starts happening and then you grip off. You can't let this one finish, otherwise it'll still spray shit everywhere. So make sure you grip the rotten bile off before the cast actually finishes and it starts spitting. Getting down to the first boss, Elder Alexia, you can actually grip the blood effigy. So the ad that this boss spawns, you can actually grip that ad. And now again, it'll trigger an immediate recast of the blood bolt. However, if you're tight on interrupts, if you just need to buy some time, this is a fantastic way to do it. Remember that you can also mass grip onto yourself to re-trigger another recast as well, if again you need more time. If you're all out of those options, you can of course use AMS to just eat one of the bolts. They realistically don't hit that hard anyway. Moving down into Cragmore's room. So this is where Underrot can get quite tricky with the trash. Now, blood swarmers. Generally speaking, you only want to pull sort of one blood swarmer into each pull, especially on a fortified setting and especially in a pug setting. Now, blood swarmers will only charge people that are 15 yards away from them. So generally, if it's chasing someone who is well out in Narnia, don't grip the blood swarmer back in. It'll just immediately charge back out and do a hell of a lot of damage. Instead, try and have your group stay in. Use our extremely powerful slow via D&D on this and whatever other slows you've got in your group. Try and have the person that it's fixated on just dead zoning it. So just staying out of melee range, not going above 15 yards, and having everyone focus it down. The maggots, as I mentioned, you just need to make sure that you're gripping off the rotten bile before it completes. A solid rotation that you can actually use on the maggots is something like a grip, stun, grip, backup, so gouge, blinds, intimidation from hunters, fear from warriors, whatever, and you can also mass grip it, but generally they're not too bad to actually solo as a DK. Moving around Cragmore's room, sometimes you'll be clearing trash in the little tunnel that goes down to Sporecaller while you're waiting on Heroism to come back up. If you are in this position, the Death Speaker's there. You can actually asphyxiate the Raised Dead cast, but it of course will trigger an instant recast as well. You can use AMS when they channel their when they cast their Wicked Frenzy. If it goes off on them and they get the buff, they'll apply Wicked Assault to you, which deals a lot of damage. You can actually AMS this, which will negate any stacks of this going onto you while AMS is up. As soon as AMS is eaten though, if that mob hasn't been dispelled, you kind of need to start kiting away. If you're looking to do larger pulls with these kind of mobs, you can of course use Control Undead on the Death Speaker as well, which takes out Wicked Frenzy, and then you can pull that into another pack if that's more comfortable for you, and then just release it when you're ready if that's something you want to do. The second boss, Cragmaw, this is generally where things go wrong in Underrot. The place you want to tank Cragmaw is up against this bone cage on the side of the boss encounter space here. And the reason for this is you want to have all your healer and all your DPS stacked up against this cage and Cragmaw next to it, like you can see on the video. The reason he does this is when he selects a unit, when he selects a player to charge, he's going to charge into the bones. And what this means is there's no travel distance, so your DPS can continue their uptime on the boss. The ticks he spawns out are very easy to squish because they're all in one place rather than spread out across Narnia, and it just makes it very clean. Now, Cragmaw will operate around 3 abilities pretty much: Charge, Indigestion, and Tantrum. Now, when you pull Cragmaw, about 7 seconds off the pull, you will either get a Charge or an Indigestion, and his ability cycle will start from here. So there is always in the first round 3 casts, 1 Indigestion, 2 Charges. In the second round, it's actually 8 seconds shorter than the first, and you'll only get 2 casts, so you'll get an Indigestion or a Charge. And then in the third round, you'll go back to the same pattern as the first. It'll be an Indigestion and 2 Charges. Now, the order of these can of course absolutely vary. There's only one indigestion in each cycle. So if you do get an indigestion first, you know that the next ones are going to be charges, and you can kind of pick for that. Otherwise, if you've had 2 charges in your first cycle, you know that the third one's going to be an indigestion. You can set yourself up for indigestion by staying at max melee range. When indigestion goes off, you can just move backwards, be it strafing backwards or backpedaling, and you'll actually avoid being hit if you're at max melee range. I would never advise backpedaling. I would strafe backwards off on that angle. If you don't want to do that, you can just use AMS to eat the indigestion. Even at a plus 25, it will still do barely enough to absorb your shield on AMS, and you'll be fine to eat that one. When Tantrum is due to go off, you want to sort of start moving Cragmaw back to the middle of the room, and basically with this you want to have areas of the encounter space assigned to different people to move to. The reason you want to do this is you want to have all areas covered so you can stomp on all the ticks rather than running off in all random directions and missing complete sections of the room. If you pre-pop before pull, you will have a Lightfoot potion availability either on the second Tantrum or the third if you want to hold it, which can sometimes make gathering up the ticks far easier. Moving past Cragmaw, I've touched on the death speakers. With the worms, you can use asphyxiate on them if you need to delay a cast for an interrupt as well, so you can stun them, so can rogues and every other class. The defilers that you'll encounter, so there's 2 at the bottom of Sporecaller and the 1 padding. If you need to grip them off a cast, if you don't have an interrupt, you can grip them off their Shadow Bolt Volley, for example. However, it will trigger an instant recast, so be aware of that, but it can buy you some time. With the totem they always drop, always outrange the totem, never waste a kick on a totem. The third boss, Sporecaller Xancha, you can use AMS to soak up any of the remaining mushrooms that haven't been destroyed via shockwaves or upheavals. Just be careful as the initial pop does deal damage though. The same principles apply on the trash, sort of moving down and to the right where you're going to take that next obelisk. You've got your worms, you've got your defilers, you've got the wicked assault to deal with again. With the corruptor, because you generally pull in the corruptor from the side, you can grip them. So they're maddening gaze, which is a large frontal cone fear with a massive range. If someone's in trouble, you can grip that off to reset that. Otherwise, generally have your group stack up for where the tentacles are going to drop and then just move off to another location. With the obelisk that you end up taking down to the last boss entrance, what you can do is you can actually go into the obelisk, you can speed pot, and then you can leg it all the way down to the sort of door that's kept up until you kill the last 2 corruptors. There's a rock on the side here which you can just jump up onto, and the obelisk spider will just snap straight to you. And the advantage of this is you can just get it down there and you can kill it extremely quickly rather than having to interrupt cycle and move down and stand out of the ruptures and all that kind of stuff. You've then got the last 2 corruptors, which again, I've already spoke about the ability to be able to single grip them off and mass grip them off if you need to. Generally speaking though, if they are synced up in their casts and they're casting the exact same thing at the exact same time, generally a good idea to leave them be in that cast rather than desync them, unless someone's in real danger of being killed. They're quite easy to manage when they're synced up with the same casts. Moving on to the last boss, the Abomination, there's not a hell of a lot you can do here as a DK, but there are just 2 things that I wanted to touch on. You'll either be playing this with the Fear Obelisk or the Blob Obelisk, because after Sporecaller, the obelisk down to the left is extremely hard to get to, and it's a waste of time. So you're far better off just pulling it with the last boss. Now with the Fear Obelisk one, you always want to have your back to the wall because he will always fear you away from him, and you never want to be getting feared into the center of the room where all the spores are. are. Now you can use AMS to be able to negate one of the fears before the fear goes off. Just make sure you pop AMS and you won't get feared if you don't have a dispel, but otherwise backs to the wall, so you're being feared into the invisible walls on the outside versus the middle. With the blob, hard to explain, but hopefully it's obvious when you're watching this on the screen. With the blob, you actually want to be able to take the blob far enough forward so the purple pools drop, then sort of come back about 8 yards from where you drop that, face the boss with your group stacked on you, and when he does his breath, you're running through him and you're just running around to the right side of the pool that you dropped. When the boss finishes its cast and comes to join you, again, run forward a little bit, drop the purple pool, come back, stack up, have the boss facing over you. When it goes to do its breath, run through it, run around the pool until it's dead. Now, it's really hard to explain, but hopefully that makes sense watching it on the screen there. So that is it for Underrot, guys. Hopefully I've covered off everything. If I've missed anything, leave it in the comments section below. Otherwise, thank you very much for checking out the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Come find me on Twitch. Come say hi on the Discord. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.